Wow, move over, lawbreakers. Step aside, radical heights. There is a new fastest shutdown here in the books. It's Concord. I cannot believe it. I mean, actually, I can. It makes perfect sense, but this is a big deal. Concord has shut down just 2 weeks after its release. This is Sony's new hero shooter that just released at the end of August. It's going to be closing on this Friday. All sales have been frozen for PlayStation and on PC, Steam, and Epic, and they're issuing refunds on literally all of those platforms. They released a blog post that said, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we decided to take the game offline and explore other options, including those that will better reach our players. Does this hint at a free-to-play relaunch? Does this hint at a chance of rebooting it, trying to overhaul it? I am shocked. I mean, not shocked from the standpoint of it shutting down, just the fact that they moved on it so quickly. PlayStation obviously muted the replies to the tweet for this particular article. This reminds me a lot of 10 years ago when every game wanted to be an esport. We're talking StarCraft 2, League of Legends hype, and then every other franchise wanted to follow because, of course, this is the hotness. You've got to have a league. You've got to have a bajillion-dollar tournament for your game before it comes out. And for established franchises that have earned their audience, that makes total sense to me. But you saw so many bad just esport clone games come out and fail because they didn't earn an audience. They didn't earn the right, the loyalty, the fan base in order to have a game that lasts over a long time, that has a huge scene. And I feel like we're in the same spot with live service where you as a publisher can't just say, oh, we're going to make a live service and it's going to last 5-10 years. We're going to have just all the bennies and all the great monetization and all that stuff that you get from live service, and then not back it up with a game that actually accrued an audience to sustain it. You cannot just say we're going to have a 10-year game and then not back it up with something that hasn't earned the right to really have that kind of support. Now, I've seen all sorts of numbers thrown out there about the budget. According to CNET, this game cost anywhere between $100 million and $200 million, which, I mean, this has got to be a substantial line item loss for Sony. I mean, Steam, what was it, like 30 players over on Steam charts just a couple of weeks after release? That doesn't even seem real to me. I appreciated John Linneman's take over from Digital Foundry. He said, Concord took 8 years to make. Chasing trends was once possible when a game could be created in 1 to 2 years, but now it just doesn't make sense and often leads to ruin. The game seems perfectly okay, but doesn't work well as a product in 2024. Now, I think you could make the case, maybe there is an opportunity in the hero shooter space. Is there the demand? I don't think so, but with Overwatch 2 not going the direction Blizzard obviously wanted, a lot of players dropping off, maybe there was an opportunity, an opening in the market for another hero shooter. But no disrespect meant towards Concord. I had no idea what this game was until 3 or 4 weeks ago. I had no visibility, no interest, and then when I did see gameplay and art from it, it just looked, no offense, like the typical generic AAA slop that we just keep getting. I'm sure, like, technically watching it in motion, animations looked cool and the gameplay looked, yeah, like an FPS hero shooter, but it didn't really move the needle. And I will say, obviously, when somebody is creating something they're passionate about, I'm always rooting and hoping for the success. You know, for the devs, I'm hoping that they receive the success that, you know, they're going for. But none of us are entitled to our creative works being successful just because we put effort into them. I see all the takes. It's like, oh, this is so horrible for the devs. I'm so sorry. And yeah, I mean, sure, but they made a game that did not resonate with anybody. I make videos that totally flop. We all, if you've ever made a creative endeavor or a venture, some of it resonates and some of it doesn't. And that's where we learn and try and improve. But just because a bunch of time and money was spent on something does not mean it's deserved some form of success. This is not a case in my mind of, oh, gamer's bad, they killed this one out the gate. I don't think anybody cared. We're finally at a point now in this cycle where maybe publishers are going to start seeing, oh, live service is actually a big risk. And there's only a few who have been able to do it well and to sustainably do it in a way that's beneficial for the player. Obviously, the publisher would love the idea of a game that once you've accrued your player base, all you're doing is adding new skins for the most part. Maybe a new hero every quarter. But beyond that, it's not like you're developing an entirely new game, taking a new risk every 3 or 4 years. You're just selling cat ears for your Spartan armor. And it seems like it's just a win-win. But at the end of the day, Concord just doesn't look that compelling, had no marketing buzz, and was pulled so fast. Now, props, I will say, most of the time with live service games like this, I wouldn't expect a refund. They would just go belly up, toss the finger at the player and say, yeah, you take the loss. But Sony's issuing those refunds. I have seen some takes talking about maybe this is an opportunity for a tax loss for them when the fiscal year rolls around, which is like, what, next spring? Maybe they revamp it. Maybe they go free to play at some point between now and then. And if it works, they stick with it. If not, they just chalk it up to a huge tax loss on the books. I don't want to come across as too cynical or always saying older is better, newer is worse, because that's not always the case. But yeah, part of me is just so tired of live service games that promise so much from the start before even earning the player base's respect. If you are a game that really looks awesome and you get a huge player base and you want to support the game and you want to give players this ongoing experience, that's really, really cool. But you need to earn that right first. You cannot just buy your way into a live service. It's got to be a cool, original game. And this to me is just nothing. Nothing really looked all that compelling. And to not really have any idea really what it was, I would say anybody watching this video, you're more connected than most when it comes to gaming. Like if we're on YouTube watching it, I have to imagine we're in a very small percentile of the broader audience. Like we are enthusiasts. We're not total beginners at this stuff. And to have very little awareness of it, just weird and tough timing too. Didn't it launch on the same day as Black Myth Wukong? And Star Wars Outlaws was the week before it. Outlaws is probably not that stiff a competition, but it's a weird timing to release something like this. But again, even if it had all of the circumstances in its favor, we probably would be looking at the same situation. I'm very curious, do you think Sony is going to try and relaunch this game? Are they going to change it up and do a free-to-play release? Tell me what you think about it down below. Me personally, there's most likely going to be a free-to-play push, I have to imagine, right? And if it flops, take it offline again, write it off, and move on. Not the video I was thinking of doing this Wednesday, but very, very big news. I really think it's important, and there's going to be ripples. I really think this one might be a turning point. This may be a moment where publishers start to learn, hopefully. I want to thank you for watching the video. I hope you have a great day. I will see you again this Friday.